I can hear you.
I can hear you just fine. We are live. Hey guys, you can see us trying to do the sound check right now. Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. Okay, so welcome. It's Friday, and oh my gosh, what a week we've had, hasn't it been?
Oh my goodness.
I
Yes,
know.
and I can hear you, just FYI.
That's good.
I just
That must mean I'm shouting at you.
Because we were over the open speaker a moment ago.
Well, let's start this shindig and get it on the way right now. You're on the Success Secrets for Business, Family, and Life channel. I'm Vickie Helm. This is my compadre for Fridays. This is Mr. Scott Stevens. Welcome, my friend. And you are on the Coffee Break Show with us every single Friday.
That's how it's been since May, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm digging it too.
Every Friday.
I like it.
We hang out whether we like it or not.
That's right.
We get up, we have coffee. You may or may not go biking depending on, what's
the
going
weather.
on.
Yeah.
And I definitely have coffee.
So if you're new here, I want to say welcome. Welcome to the iHeartRadio listeners. Welcome to YouTube and Twitter and LinkedIn and wherever you are in the world. iTunes, thank you for being here. We're the Coffee Break Show. We go live Monday through Friday, and we share tips, tools, techniques, inspiration, motivation. We talk about those things that are going to create thrivability in your life. We have Wednesday guests and other shows. This show is brought to you by the Metadime Digital Network. Somebody needs more coffee. And this is the morning coffee show. Listen, this week was really something. We hit this week running. We hit this week with the election, and we still don't know what we don't know. We don't know who's going to be president. We don't know if things are, upfront, if they're fraudulent. We don't know what we don't know. We're just kind of hanging out here in limbo together. So I figured, well, if it's Friday, we're going to hang out in limbo together and wait to see who's going to be president. Shouldn't we have some coffee with us?
A dollop of vanilla ice cream. Since ice cream, makes everything better. We have ascertained in previous encounters on Friday morning that we're sitting there drooling over our bovine friends and the many multitudes of products that their bodies can provide us.
That's true. And ice cream. Thank you.
Yes. Great gratitude.
That's what, yes.
I have no idea.
It's Friday, huh? That used to mean something different to me. Now it means I get to see Scott.
What,
yay!
No paycheck?
That's right. And look at this. She brought us a couple of cups of coffee. Thank you, my friend. Donnie's on with us. He's like, morning coffee break show. And don't lie to me. I know you have this really great cup of coffee with this really wonderful cream in it. And you're just having this delectable tasting coffee. I know you are. Hey, look at this. I saw your pancakes, my friend. This is Brian Rogers. Pancakes. We need pancakes. This guy made the most amazing stack of pancakes. And I kept looking on top of it and going, are these really pancakes? Is this really pancakes? I pulled the pictures closer. Dude, I'm digging what you do. I love your shows. I love your pictures.
I grew up on pancakes. That's the only way mom could feed 9 of us every single morning and not break the budget was pancakes, and a treat was waffles. And on Sundays before church, we got boxed cereal, so she didn't have to do so much work.
Pancakes. Thank God, 7 kids. That's a lot. I want to let you know that Robin has once again brought out Susie Nelson's favorite saying that she gave us all, and we haven't forgotten. Ice cream saves marriages. It's true.
Maybe it saves nations too. Let's see.
We hope so. It was breakfast burrito from Garden Yummies this morning. That's right. We did have breakfast burritos at our house. And thank you for that.
So Garden Yummies, that means your garden's still producing?
Yeah. We've got lettuce, and we've got all sorts of greens out there. We've got spinach. We've got chard. We've got everything.
Dug up our first potatoes last night. Don went out there and these are so good, so yummy. And the carrots are big now, and the beets are super sweet. And there's a lot more out there, a lot more to go. And I'm grateful for that. That even the chard dealt with the 2 snows that we've already had, and it's still green and soaking up a little bit of this November Colorado sunshine. I love it.
It's interesting when you say these things right now, because what comes to mind is being resilient. And yesterday when we talked about what was happening in cryptocurrencies, and I can't say this enough. What's happening in cryptocurrencies right now is a chance to follow the money. And we've talked about this, follow the money, follow the money. People say it over and over again, follow the money. But the thing is, are you following the money? And yesterday we talked about, and this whole week we talked about the election and what was happening in spite. Like we're both all looking at the election. And for me, I wonder if the Democrats and the Republicans are actually sleeping in the same bed, and that's what they want us to watch, is this election drama that's going on in the mask or not mask. Because what I notice over in the crypto side is that we now have a central bank digital currency, a cryptocurrency. The central bank has created its own cryptocurrency after being adamantly against it, adamantly wanting to get rid of cryptocurrency. They have now joined and bridged over to having a cryptocurrency. That should say a lot to people.
If you can't beat them, join
if you
them.
can't beat them, join them. That's right. And to me, it's like once we get to the digital plays that people are making, which is we now have digital currency banks in Wyoming. Thank you, Caitlin.
Yes, Caitlin Long. She's a hero. She's really a huge, huge hero.
She really did it. And we had Amazon launching their Libra coin as well. They're launching.
And kudos also have to go to the Wyoming legislature.
Oh, yeah, of course, because they said yes.
Because they said yes, and they see through, and have dealt with the UCC, the code that the establishment wanted to come in and apply to Wyoming so the code would be uniform across the country. But that's not how change happens. Change happens from those that are brave to say no so that we can say yes to something else. And that gives me goosebumps. I'm like, and I've always liked Wyoming. It is a wickedly long drive, especially at night.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of a cool place and has really beautiful spots, and other spots you're like, oh, God just barfed and it dried up.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting? When you say that, that's really true for me, is that every year the central banks meet in what state?
In Jackson Hole.
That's right. Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Typically the third week in August, just before school, restarts.
Yep. And when you look at that, just from that standpoint, we have the future moving in such a different way that nobody's noticing that the central bank suddenly now has digital currencies. Nobody's noticing how much ME has put into Bitcoin. I think it was like $230 million. Nobody's noticing also that Goldman Sachs are making these plays. We're all watching this wonky election going, who's going to win? And all these plays over here are being made. And I just wonder, you always talk about that October event. Is this the October event right here? I know it's that election time, but is this the thing that is preoccupying us while this is going on? Because if all the money is going over here, you can bet that the cash you have in your pocket is about to be revealed as worthless.
Yep. And so
something's about to happen.
Yeah. It's so easy to procrastinate. It's so easy to follow the path of least resistance, which is a path already traveled. And that is just doing the same thing over and over and over again because it's worked.
And expecting until a different result.
It's a fine thing to do. It works. But I have said time and time again, cryptocurrencies are binary. You don't need them until you need them.
That's right.
And we don't know when that switch, when that
well, it must be coming soon because the central banking system just made a play. Yeah. I mean, it's got to be coming soon. I don't know. I'm not sure how they plan on doing that. Out. Yeah,
I think what needs to happen or what will happen, and this is just a compilation of the information we've come across, is that we are going through the second lockdown. We'll see unemployment rates shoot right back up.
Yep.
Because the economy was in a place where there was some resilience. We had a lot.
That's right. We had a fire that
small businesses that could, I can hunker down, I can endure this, but please let me open back up ASAP. Some have. They've been able to hire not their full complement of staff, but some back. If we go through another lockdown, that might be, well, it absolutely will take out another contingent of those, less capitalized businesses. So digital currency allows that bank to skip Chase, to skip Citibank, to skip all of those
That's right.
intermediaries and deposit money directly to your digital address. And that would be the reason why they create this situation whereupon we all need access to liquidity and their coin. That's how
So
I see it.
this is the other thing that's aligned with that, because that's how it's going to be. Avanti is the second crypto bank approved in Wyoming. It's Caitlin's bank. The first bank approved was Kraken. Now, here's the thing. 2 banks have already come, and a third, a fourth, and a fifth are.
Not far
And
away.
do you know how when back in the day, when they first started to make weed legal, and there was medicinal purpose in weed legal in California, then it spread to another state, which was Colorado. Then a couple of other states adopted that weed for medicinal purposes. And it kind of spread all over the United States. It happened over time. It didn't happen overnight, but it happened very quickly. That's what crypto banks are going to be doing. Right now, Wyoming is that bank. The next more forward-thinking state is going to come and say, you know what, that's a good idea. I'm going to approve a bank in our state. It's going to be just like that, and it'll be medicinal purposes. And then suddenly there'll be recreational coming back up. Recreational weed, recreational cryptos. They'll be fully adopted.
They are now.
Yeah.
Do you want to make
They'll be
a
fully
guess?
adopted.
Throw on your visor, Vic. What will be the next state to follow Wyoming?
Ooh, God, I got to be honest. I'm hoping it's Colorado.
Ah.
I'm hoping it's Colorado. I want the state to be the state that I'm living in, but I'm probably thinking more like maybe Delaware.
Delaware
Nevada
would be my second choice. South Dakota would be my first.
Oh, of course. That would make sense.
Yeah. And I say South Dakota simply because of the leadership that is there now.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways, they were the only state that did not lock down. So there's a little bit of, I can get through this net. I can get through this restriction that's been put upon us. So I can see them. And also because there are big structures that exist in South Dakota and under South Dakota law. So I could see them being one of the next probably 2 or 3.
But so even though we're talking about this in almost a nonchalant way right now,
we are.
The benefit to you is that you act now, which is that getting that. It's not, we told you before the pandemic even hit the United States that it was going to hit here, that these are the things that you were going to need to get. You're going to need flour, sugar, these things, and toilet paper, and all the other things that were gone like in overkill. But we told you were going to have to stock up food. We told you there was going to be a lockdown. We told you were going to have that stay at home in place. We gave you so much time. We're giving you that right now so that you can educate yourself, find out what cryptos work best for you, find out what you want to be a part of, and get those things implemented in time so that you can still take advantage of the opportunity. Now, I want to talk about the opportunity. Some of the people who joined and took advantage of Facebook ads when they first came out paid some of the cheapest, least expensive time to get Facebook ads, and it thrust their business forward. And Facebook ads are not going to be any cheaper than they are now. They're going to continue to rise, continue to rise, continue to rise, continue to rise. And this is kind of where we are at the crypto time. There is still time, yes. The first wave, the beta testers came in and got it for pennies on the dollar. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Now you're going to get it with the low dollars pieces, like, Bitcoin was pennies, then it was, 2 figures, then 3 figures, then now 4, 5, 6 figures. It's going to continue exploding in that way. We're on the wave where it is very inexpensive to get some really great deals on cryptocurrencies. I'm not going to advise you because I even though there are no laws saying that there is no advising on that, I think it's better if you start with, crypto basics. There's a book right now called Crypto Revolution. You can read some of those. Bitcoin for Dummies, any Bitcoin beginning book that you can read. There's Udemy courses as low as $10 on cryptocurrencies. There are free YouTube videos for beginners on Cryptocurrencies 101. It's just that we need to shut off the Netflix and turn on the cryptocurrency videos and pay attention to learning them. We've also brought you on Coinbase on our particular channel and said, here's how you do it. Here's where you go. Here's how it's done. If you want to use Binance or Poloniex or any other platform that you want to use.
Coinbase is so stupid easy, though.
Yeah, it is.
Kraken could be there too, but I've got an account. I just haven't, I haven't needed it simply because I've got Coinbase at this point in time. And yesterday, walking the dogs, come across, an older couple, not old, but my age, which is getting to be older, but relocating to, our part of Colorado and leaving it all behind. And I don't know what to do. They told me, talking about the cars that they had, like, just keep them. They're paid for. Don't spend any money. You don't have to right now. And so we talked about Bitcoin. They were both familiar with it, but had thought or understood or believed or were told that it was in a bubble. And I'm like, okay, there was a point in time. And Bitcoin goes through those cycles. About every 3 years, it goes through a parabolic move. And the first one was to 300, the next one to 1,000. And then the one from 1,000 went to 20,000. The next move is from 20,000 to 400,000. It does a times 20, essentially every 3.5 years. And the last peak was 3 years ago, next month.
Interesting.
So we have got this 6-month ramp where the beginning next part of this parabola is now taking shape. And with Goldman Sachs saying within the last 10 days that there's a wall of money approaching, you got to get out ahead of that. If you're a surfer, you don't want to be behind the wave. What's the point?
That's right.
All you are in is turbulence at that point. You want to be ahead of the wave.
That's right.
This is why you then map out, you connect your fiat, you move your fiat, you educate yourself with the system that you have just enjoined. And then you're in a position to share with others what you can do. And that is a very, very powerful place to be, is to be able to assist others when they're wondering, WTF do I do?
Yeah.
And we're so close to that. So we just, Coinbase, it takes a little bit of time. And the other thing is there are limits to get in. You can't, dump 100 grand in. You can't dump 10 grand in if you're a newbie, because of limits. And so this is something to best get ahead of, because the other thing that we've talked about ad infinitum, Vic, is confidence in the dollar, confidence in government.
And lack
what
thereof.
is this, and what has this election shown us is that confidence will be something that is very, very fragile.
It's
and once
fragile right now.
Is gone,
it's fragile right now. People are yelling, count the vote. We still don't know who's president yet. There's still that time. Yes, the confidence is eroding. I want to pop over here right quick because there's a lot of great information coming on. Telegraph.com news. Russia's central bank says the pandemic has accelerated regulators' interest in CBDCs.
Central bank digital currencies.
Yep.
And then I posted that, The Rise and Rise of Bitcoin. It's a docu-movie. It's dated back to 2014. So you can see how this thing has evolved over the 6 years since that was that published.
So here, the COVID pandemic has served both as an X-ray onto existing vulnerabilities in the global financial system and the accelerator for destabilizing tendencies, including higher sovereign and consumer debt in, emerging markets. Yes, that is absolutely true on CoinDesk. Like this, interesting perspective, leaving it all behind. Yes.
Yeah.
But what else are they going to do?
Well, I mean, when you get on a boat, you can only take so much with you. And then you are literally leaving it all behind. And that's about what happens when every revolution, when every change, when every innovation takes hold. And adoption runs in an S curve. There's the slow adopters at the bottom, and then we see a little bit of a rise, and then there's the mainstream adopters where we get through that bar part of the S, and then there's the late people that come on to complete the takeover, if you will. And so we're just in that next part of the adoption, and they're only adopting it because They will have to.
Wow. And that just to me is something that's so important. Donnie, at the meeting of the 26 central bank representatives that convened from Central Asia, the Black Sea region, the Balkan countries, and beyond, also noted the pandemic-induced expansion of e-commerce as well as digital settlement technologies. And I like that, digital settlement technologies. From the perspective of the central bank, these trends are spurring financial regulators to take central bank digital currencies more seriously than ever before. This is just unbelievable. Okay, so that is right. 3 years ago, Bitcoin was 20,000. You got that right.
Euphoria in the market, and we are nearly back there from 15 and a half. I would bet by the time you do this show on Monday and I do another perspective that Bitcoin has pierced 17,000 and is banging around that next level. And that initiates something called FOMO, FOMO, fear of missing out. And that ignites the next push in. And as we talked about 3 years ago, we were at 20K. And there was a bit of FOMO as we move quickly from just 2 months, or actually it was because in April of 17, we were only at about $1,000. In September, we were only about $3,000 to $4,000. So there's this parabolic move, and we're just doing all these big moves inside the much larger macro picture. So a tenth of a Bitcoin now is going to go so far as we roll through the future.
Oh yeah,
a tenth, $1,500. That's it.
And now it's like when it's 100K, you'll say I should have. Yes,
shoulda.
Yeah,
I've done that. Hell, I did that.
I've done that a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yes, we need to remember that there are limits to get in. Just can't purchase great sums at one time. You can later, but once you start, doing that, $1 million is not impossible. It's ultimately a reality. What will the value be of alternative cryptocurrencies at this point? You know what's interesting too, because back in the 1800s, when our money actually grew, that dollar was a store of value, and people for generations now have not lived with money as a store of value. We've had money as a store of debt, as a reflection of borrowed currency, and
evidence of debt.
And evidence of debt. That's right. And so, since our mind is set somehow that our dollar's purchasing power never could go up. And if we look at a dollar, it has decreased for so many years since 1913. It's decreased so many years that's all we expect is some inflation. We don't expect our money to hold its value and things to cost less or et cetera. We like the inflation trend. There seems to be more and more and more and more and more and more money. But on this new trend, there's so much about global economics. If we all had a playing field. Now, just imagine right now what would happen to workers who hired outsourced workers like, you do on Upwork or Fiverr. And on Upwork, you like to get a foreign worker whose currency is, not as strong as our currency. And what would happen to that market if suddenly it became even?
Yeah.
It was a level playing field. Suddenly it wouldn't be about money, it would be about talent.
And that's where the corporations would go. They would look to put the Foxconn factory in a place where the talent is the best, where they could manufacture the best and highest quality product rather than the cheapest labor.
You got my point.
Exploiting those workers. And this is the revolution that both sides are hungry to see actuated. But it just hasn't been able to, because we're not dealing with the real issues in these elections. Elections could be a beautiful platform for us to discuss where we go, where we take the community, where we take, because we are America, in many ways, where we take the world, because we are supposed to be that light bearer, but we do not. We have gone back into third grade infighting, and it is stupid.
Yes.
We can use these as elegant platforms to elevate all of us. And we epically failed in this election process. And it isn't just this one. This has gone on for a long time.
Yeah, it
Bitcoin.
has been. I like this. One Bitcoin can support a family for generations. Legacy wealth if you buy now. 15K right now for generational wealth. Do your own research. And this is so
Whoa.
important because most generational wealth isn't like a $15,000 investment. Most generational wealth is millions of dollars in investments and trusts and lawyers and political and blah, blah, blah. I mean, all of this stuff. And now we're heading into smart contracts are coming out. Ethereum 2.0 is coming out. It's going to happen faster than people think. It's happening faster than I thought. I thought we'd have a couple of years. I don't think we do. I think that once the central bank has made, digital currencies, and we have those kind of digital currencies, if we get to the point where the reserves, the central banks are doing that, time is of the essence right now.
Yep.
It is. It's moving faster, faster, faster.
You shared a Libra story the other day, yesterday. You were
did.
talking about that, the Libra Foundation you can set up. And I didn't create an account yet, only because my trust in Facebook is not rock solid. So I didn't go down that route, even though if they're selling a currency and if I had the ability to then withdraw it off the platform and hold it to own the keys to that currency, I could be convinced to throw a little money in there.
I see.
But
see.
I haven't.
You have to have a wallet.
Yet.
You have to have their wallet.
It's true. Because this is one of the things in cryptos, not your coin if you don't have the keys. If you can't access it independent of a third party, it ain't yours.
Yeah. So it's not. It's like gold ETFs. If you don't have your gold in your hands, guess what? You have no gold.
Yep. If you can't withdraw on demand, it's not yours. Yeah. And that's the threshold that I didn't see yet with Libra. And maybe that'll happen as the platform matures. But Vickie, I am not going to be first. I will not be first.
It's interesting. I'm going to tap a little bit in.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tap a lot, but I am going to tap a little bit in. I want to invest in those key players. Like when Amazon comes out, they'll get a little of my investment as well. I may even play with a little bit of this central bank currency because I want to see it, but I like compound a lot better. There are things that are better performances on the cryptocurrency market right now that are peer-to-peer lending systems. And the future is going to be peer-to-peer lending is going to be a lot better. There's not going to be a lot of trust in the central banks.
No.
This is still that old boys thing, but I got to see how it works. I want to see how it's done. Compound is a really cool technology where you can, earn interest inside the compound by lending them your assets to lend to other things where you get a commission back, and it's run by the people that's there. Cryptocurrencies are empowering people and people's wealth so much that I can't see us going back to the other system. No. That other system's going to die as soon as people go, I can build more wealth here. I can build more wealth and do it in a fashion that everybody can see. There's the blockchain. You can follow it. It's an open ledger with Bitcoin. I mean, there's so many good things to this new system.
2020 has brought us many examples of how old systems show their weaknesses, show their failures. And the fires in the forest are a big one for me, because a dream I had about Bitcoin probably 3 years ago, it was an old wooden Western town, and it was on fire. There was no way to extinguish the fire. It wasn't possible. So the system has to burn. And I would play with these other currencies, provided, Vic, that I could move them through a decentralized exchange. So one of these DEXs, and then out comes Bitcoin on the other end. Now, if I could do that kind of mixing and know that I still would have an aspect of anonymity, I'll play, because then I can receive payments in that coin, run it through a DEX, and turn it into something that I trust a little bit more. It's just like the fiat. You turn it from one currency into something else, and you've got to trust that middleman, which right now is Coinbase. And that's what we all need to have a relationship with, is that middleman.
I like Coinbase. I have been happy with them, and I've been in there since they started.
And they're custodians for nearly 1 million Bitcoin.
Yeah.
million. That is, I think the last story I saw was like 985,000 Bitcoin are on deposit with that company. And again,
Yeah.
if you don't hold it, it's not yours. So this is something that there are often tests across the cryptocurrency space is withdraw and claim your stuff to see if the exchange really has it. And this is something we're not capable of doing in fiat because that the best analogy is a
That's
bank
right.
run. It's a bank run. And when they, by law, can fractionally reserve, it's their big weed spot. It's their soft
Yeah.
belly.
The US government, our US government, just found Bitcoin valued at $1 billion
Yeah.
that was still part of that Silk Road.
65,000 of them.
Yeah. I just found them at $1 billion. And I'm like, what are they going to do with them?
Auction.
It's, yeah,
I'm sure you'll have
probably.
your bid in.
Yeah, as fast as I can. I want to go
Fast
over
as
here
I
and tell
can.
you
Hey,
one
Ryan.
Bitcoin will support a family. Oh, we read that one. Do your own research. I want to pop over here. I know when I first started exploring Bitcoin, I was nervous, but I used my disposable income to invest regularly to dollar cost average. You can still do that with Coinbase. Can't always judge when it will go up or down, but it will go up. It will continuously go up over time, just like our markets do. 985,000 Bitcoin. What's the total number that will be mined? You know,
21
it's
million.
interesting because the mining of it will be slowing down as well.
Yeah, the reward for the effort gets less and less. It's called a halving.
Mm-hmm.
And the algorithm was slated to release a certain amount of coins. And after 4 years, that's cut in half. And the next 4 years, it's cut in half once again. So we're seeing that halving to where more and more effort has to be applied to this algorithm to secure the network per the reward. And
Mm-hmm.
then that reflects directly in the value of that reward block, which I believe is 12 and a half Bitcoin at this point in time. And we just went through a halving. So
Yeah.
the question is total number mined is 21 million, but that doesn't happen to the year beyond 2100. And then there's probably somewhere between 3 and 4 million that are lost. So that takes
Yeah.
a number out of the supply.
Like a child in a candy store, I want the candy so bad. Presently, people believe what they want to happen so badly, they're willing to turn a blind eye. Our political process is broken. If you can step back and look at the bigger picture, what is being lost right now is paramount as a nation. It is irrelevant what side you want. What is relevant is what has been lost. Mark my word, I will.
And this
We
is
will
why it's
see that
important
unfold.
because the big power stick that this nation has been the currency and the military. And if we lose the currency, you can't fund the military. So it's best to kind of recapitalize yourself ahead of whatever happens. It's just an insurance policy, and it is a bloody cheap insurance policy. Most of us will pay upwards of $2,000 a year for home insurance, auto insurance, health insurance. And this is in many ways a financial insurance, much like holding gold or silver. But this is
Mhm.
more, I don't want to say more fungible, but in some ways it is, because you can do it while you're on a walk. You can throw $50 at Bitcoin. Why? You just open the Coinbase app, you see Bitcoin's down a little bit, and you're like, yes, and you drop $50. So rather than having to load up some money, go to the gold store, the silver store, and then deal with their margins. So it's just really, really liquid.
Facebook. I came across a guy who was selling and setting up rigs for mining Bitcoin a couple of years ago. He wanted to. I'm assuming this might be either Ross or Ryan. I'm
It's
not
Ryan.
sure. Ryan, thank you. He wanted me to set up intros for mass buying of the rigs. After a while, it became apparent that was a one-sided relationship, so I stepped away. Smart move. I don't care what you think. Smart move. Step away from a bad working relationship. Shame, because it could have been a great relationship if it was mutual. Yes. Some people are one-sided with their endeavors and they never want to have something mutually beneficial. It means if it's mutually beneficial, they lose somehow. And I'm like, that's crazy thinking.
Yeah, that's
I
just
like this.
selfishness that you don't need to be around.
I like this approach, investing insurance. So here's the thing. We're still in uncertainty this week. We may not know who's president till maybe tonight. We don't know. Maybe tomorrow. We don't know. We don't know how long it's going to be to name the president because there are going to be several recounts. I could say Georgia's probably going to recount. Pennsylvania's going to recount. Nevada's going to recount. There's just going to be a lot of recounts. So to me, I'm like looking at it's a long way. It's patience right now. Yesterday, we talked about it possibly being the last presidential election. I don't know. But if this tumultuousness happens, that's happening around the world right now, we may see something, we may not. I don't know. It's up for grabs right now. But here's what I do know. I do know that there are things every individual can do to help customize their freedom. And I mean, customize it now. It used to be that we had to depend on the Constitution to give us freedom. But now with the internet and how businesses are done, you can customize your freedom, meaning you could be a digital nomad if you wanted to and be free in every country and have money running around. You can build your home and have a home-based business and whatever you want and be stationary. You can customize your freedom, which is something that most people are not taking advantage of because they continue to want this old freedom from our past. Yeah. We have to get to the point where we're thinking forward and empowering ourselves to sit down and decide to swim to prosperity instead of sink into poverty. We've got to get to the point where those two things are in your front mind right now. And not only that, it does not matter. It used to matter that you were born in a country that had freedom. It was born in a country that was the privilege of carrying your, passport that said, yes, we have freedom in our country. Now you just have to have a cell phone and maybe even a flip phone at some point in time and a good internet connection, and you can create your freedom. And there are many people right now who have left countries all over the place to go to countries that will allow them to carry that freedom because they can take care of themselves. They can unhook their entire lives from banking systems that rule and track everything and create their freedom by having decentralized privacy and currency and everything else. There is a point where there is a new type of freedom. This new type of freedom doesn't have to be tied to politics. Yeah. It has to be tied to what you choose to do in the moment. This is what I know now. And this is why Scott and I wrote Sink or Swim 2030. It's the reason the book is here. It's the reason we keep talking about it and continuing in that vein. You can build the life you want. You can customize it. But I will tell you, freedom is still not free. Freedom is work. Freedom is educating yourself. Freedom is huge action. And no matter where you are in the world, you can customize your freedom now.
Yeah, you can. Mm-hmm. But like you said, it takes a little bit of work. There's a responsibility with it.
Yes.
And if you can't take that responsibility, then you may not know when you're not free any longer.
Yes, if you are a sheeple, you will find you are imprisoned without you knowing it.
Mm-hmm. And whether it's financial imprisonment, whether it's regulatory imprisonment, whether it's the inability to move, because the ability to move around the country or even your city has been restricted. There's so many kinds of freedom, so many. And we've built the infrastructure whereupon a lot of those can be lost very, very quickly, especially China. I hate to bring it up, incredible technology, but you are living under a social credit score. And that privilege to travel is taken away if you are not in alignment with the powers that be.
Agreed.
And that is a very precarious way to live your life and to maintain your physical safety. It's a very, very, I would say, a stressful situation to live that way, especially for those who tend not to enjoy living in a box.
Yeah, I got to tell you right now, freedom is taking a different turn. Freedom is different, and everybody likes our usual comfort zone freedom. I know my rights. I know what my rights are. Freedom is going to be vastly different in the future, and it's going to be built. It's not going to be given to you by another person. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to move these things forward with you. And one of the things that we said about that working in that customization is that there are things that you have to know about. And I want to tell you about the 3 most important things I think you need to know about. One of them is what Scott talked about on Another Perspective the other day about the types of freedom there are based on whether you're part of the corporate America and part of the maritime America or those things. And that is, it was the last one you did, right?
Yeah.
It was the very last one. So
administrative law or common law?
Yeah, administrative law, that common law.
Yep.
And so what happens is we have to understand the law, one. And I don't mean the law based on the memes you read in Facebook or some of the YouTube videos. I mean the law as in go get yourself some online business law or law courses that are to the general public. And to me, corporate law is a big one that you can learn, but all of it is online now. You don't have to go to Harvard. You can be taught by a professor online on Udemy, on lynda.com. There are ways that you can understand how to build your freedom. The second thing you need to do is you need to protect your privacy. Your privacy is up for sale and you want to decentralize yourself. And that means that we have to use systems like Steemit and other decentralized platforms that you can use right now to help build and see freedom and read from other and connect with those people that are doing that. And the third thing you need to do is protect your assets. You have to stop buying debt, and you have to start, and people think I don't buy debt. More people have learned to buy debt than assets and than ever before.
That's all we're taught.
You have to understand what assets are. In fact, the real statistic is from moneymagazine.com. I want you to write this down. The average person has $100,000 worth of digital assets in their home, and they don't even know they have it. The average person has if you had $100,000 lying around, wouldn't you want to know where it was?
Yeah, I'd buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's like, I have digital assets. You bet you do. And protecting those assets and understanding what those assets are. You know, when you buy a name for your online business, like I have VickieHelm.com, that is buying real estate now. And people think real estate is a house. Real estate isn't a house. Real estate is a position in some particular asset. And you have real estate in the publishing area. You have real estate in the royalties and revenue area. You have real estate in houses. Where is your real estate? Where are you placing those things? All of that right now is turning and learning to buy assets. And I like this. I love this so much. I love it, love it, love it. Freedom is achieved, not given. And this is where people don't understand how things have been built so that freedom can be customized. Be careful about setting up the app. Download the one with the most reviews. Thank you. That is a good one.
And the one, because just the guy I met in the park yesterday, you're like, which one? And this was on the iTunes store.
Oh, of course.
The legit one has over 800,000 reviews. So you just stay with that route. And then you've got to go through an identification process because we have these laws of know your customer and anti-money laundering. And this is a powerful tool that could be used in that direction. It absolutely is. And in some ways, that is the beauty of it, is because it affords some independence from the system. But they want to know you as you walk through that gate. What you do on the other side of that gate is your business.
That's right.
Your business.
That's right. I want to pop over here. I first looked at Bitcoin, Ryan McShane, on the advice from a friend in the Hamptons. It was literally 25 cents. I could not figure out how to buy it from, or how.
How or who?
Yeah, to buy it from back then, it was unknown and hard for many people to wrap their minds around. That's right. I remember that era. I looked too, but I was like, what is this? How does it work? I don't get it. And yeah, you had to know a lot of programming. I was ready to invest 20K, but then I got bit by a mosquito and my life changed. That is really true. You did.
Well, and before these companies existed, it was in some ways illegal because you were transmitting money across state lines. You
Hmm.
would have to do an in-person exchange, and then you're taking your cryptographic currency back to your home. And so there were incentives for the government to come in and stop this, especially in its early stage. You see, bugs, and those are the first eggs, forming in the nest in the ant pile. You can easily stomp it out, but they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. It was too powerful.
I want to be able to tell you
Coinbase
this
app
right
used to.
now. Sink or swim will give you answers and help guide you through these tumultuous waters. Choose to swim and read this book, Sink or Swim, to help you navigate your future. And the future is here now. Authors Vickie, Helm, and Scott Stevens. Thank you very much for that, Donnie. I really appreciate that. The Coinbase app or other Bitcoin platforms. I've used Coinbase. It's really stupid easy. That's a really great one to use. There are other ones, and it depends on what country you're in. Kraken is another one that everybody really likes. Poloniex was really great back when it was in Canada,
Mhm, mhm.
and not so great now that it won't let Americans. I had to move all my stuff off Poloniex onto another platform. I've used Binance. I really like them. I've used Digital. It changed its name.
It changed its name.
Digital Price IO or something like
Something like
that.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Uh,
that's been good. But if for the beginner, for the first time user, for the first time everything, the reason I like Coinbase is because Coinbase has tutorials and trainings on there, and they will pay you to learn. They'll give you free cryptocurrencies to learn about cryptocurrencies.
mhm,
So I
mhm.
mean, it's like you go there and you can learn and you can get you can get a lot of them there and help your family get into that cryptocurrency. But I will say it's on its way. It's like, remember the learning curve when computers came out? And the libraries in our town used to give free courses that you could go to here's the on button and here's how you do this and here's how you do that. That's where we are with cryptocurrencies right now.
Understanding Windows 3.11.
Back in the day.
That's when I began. And AOL, of course. I had that CD-ROM
Yes.
that came from AOL and a hard drive that had a fat 320 megabytes and 4 megabytes of RAM. And it was $2,500.
I know. It was
Oh,
unreal.
25 years later, it's amazing that how it's all changed.
Yeah, and the people who started right then, the people who got on board right then, those are the people that actually prospered. And I got to say, this is that time right now. You want to get to know this time in history as this DeFi, which is decentralized finance, starts to happen. And you definitely want to be the person that is in the know about this.
Well, yeah, and so many of us of our age have siblings or children, grandchildren who may have a little bit of experience in this field as well.
Mhm.
So you
Yeah.
can hit them up or even message us in the group, and we'll see what we can do
Yeah, I
to help
like
you.
this. Yes, back then it was considered shady. It was, and people were afraid of it, but I could see its perfection. You could not buy it from a platform. You had to trust and buy it from individuals. I remember that. You had to trust and buy it from individuals. That was very scary. Now it's easy peasy. Wow, I forgot about that, Donnie.
Yeah.
That was a while ago. Yes, it was scary to buy other people's coins back then. And now we have, platforms that are protected, that are managed well. I have AOL CDs hanging in my garden to keep out the birds.
Right. All of 650 megabytes on a
Oh
CD-ROM.
gosh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
We haven't lived that long, have we?
I think so,
I
man.
think so.
It's the time. And you're like, you know, um, we've seen so many changes that we've gotten used to having changes, and I just know right now that you just want to be able to relearn, grow, open up, be excited. There is the mindset where you're like, "Hi, I got to learn this to save myself." But what if you learn this to prosper yourself and thrive? What if what is coming is so good in some areas that is so good? What if it's made to benefit you in ways if you just learn how to do it? It's like learning how to drive a car. Look how much freedom you got when you learned how to drive a car. But look how much more freedom you have if you learn how to drive a plane. And those people who learn how to fly a plane are now like they can do in hours what takes you days.
And each one of those came an additional plate of responsibility.
Yeah.
Responsibility to drive the car, responsibility to fly the aircraft,
Absolutely.
responsibility for your own financial dealings outside of just balancing a checkbook, which is a great training ground.
Yeah.
The debit card was a great training ground. This takes it to the next level. And there's only a certain contingent of people who are willing to take that responsibility for themselves. It's not going to be everybody until they're forced in it. And that's why we'll have central bank currencies for them.
Yeah.
For them.
That's what's going to be.
And then you're like, oh, okay, I should have done this so long ago. Yes, you should have.
Yeah. Now, so this weekend, if tonight they don't come up with a president, I'm going to ask us all to be patient, because even if they come up with the numbers, it's still not the numbers. We got to go and recount those states. We got to go ahead and make sure that all the numbers that are showing up now are actually the numbers that are showing up now. We got to get some viewers in there to see what's happening. This is not going to be, like it was in the past. Everybody votes and the next day, who's voting. Is a vastly different time. This is the pandemic vote. And so if you are anxious, then pray or go out and watch a funny movie or do something that's going to calm you. I don't know, have a beer, smoke a joint. I don't know.
Buy some Bitcoin.
Buy some Bitcoin.
Hey, go shopping that way.
Yes, buy some Bitcoin. Go shopping that way. Learn something new. But don't simmer in it. Don't stew in it. We'll get an answer soon. You'll be informed at the same time with the rest of us. It's like delivering a baby right now. It takes however long it takes.
And it hurts.
It does hurt right now.
Not that I've done it, but I've heard screams.
And this way we can relax as we go through this together. And remember, we're still the United States. We're not a country of red and blue. If we go into each state, there's red and blue people in each state. And we are united. That's been the strongest part of our humanity for our country right now. If we can just stay in that and know that it will happen, there'll be answers, and we will figure this out together.
Yep. We'll see what happens by Monday, how it evolves.
That's right.
Because you're right. Even the Al Gore thing, back in 2000, I remember walking the dog and it was decided. And that was midnight Mountain Time. Come back, 40 minutes later, 50 minutes later, and it would completely flipped. I'm like, whoa. So, we've been through this before, but I don't think we were divided to the point that we are now. So this is going to take.
Yeah, we are pretty divided right now.
And as I talked about on the show a while back, it's your neighbors. If we can't get along with our own neighbors, then what? And we're not quite willing to take responsibility that, we don't always have to be right, but we have been pushed and prodded and I don't know if they're really the words, but we've really been pushed to the edge of our limits. And this isn't just for days, but for years now. And so it's like they've been stoking this powder keg and stoking this powder keg. And the election seemed to just be the fuse. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think that which needs to be found out will be found out.
Yep.
Go on a walk in nature. Thank you for this.
Smoke a
I
bowl,
really like this. It's like, remember to keep your peace. Don't let them run off with your reason or your discernment or your dignity. You stay in your reason, your dignity, and your discernment right here. Don't let anyone take that from you.
No, because
Yeah,
then they own you.
that's right.
They own you. You've willingly given it up.
That's right. You
And that's
stay
what
with the
programming
piece of
does.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a big, yeah.
You stay with the piece inside you that is the piece of you, and it'll unfold. Go for a walk in nature if you have to. Pet your dog, hug your family.
Pick a carrot.
Yep. Hey, you guys, this has been a really fun show for us. It's
Mhm.
always Friday, but Monday is coming. And I want to let you know that we will have a new list of great shows that are coming up next week. We have, I can't even say the guests yet because it's Friday, but Monday is coming. But we have such incredible guests next week. I can't even wait. I'm so excited to tell you. And you can see Unlocked with Tracy Wilson right here on the Metadime Digital Network, along with other great shows. Then, other than the coffee break, there's Another Perspective with Scott Stevens, my favorite show, actually. I love that show. Who is he? Who is that man?
That dude.
There's also the weather. The weather has changed right now. It's gone to 9 p.m. Mountain Time. And Another Perspective, you can watch it at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. And you can have, let me tell you, these shows are really awesome. You can have a great time. And as soon as we know something on Monday, hopefully, we'll be able to talk about that. So thanks for being on with me, my friend.
As
I
Robin
love
said,
it.
amen, sister.
Okay, you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you later. Mwah! Peace out. See you
See
all
ya.
soon. Bye.